This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
Good morning and welcome to the morning break with me, Carl Smith, where we're discussing this morning how not to be a head or a school leader or anything that's important in a school.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Good morning. And with a couple of weeks to go until the end of term, unless you're really, really unlucky, welcome back to the morning break and me, Carl Smith. Thank you for those who've joined us before. Welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. And today we're thinking about how not to be a head, or in fact, a school leader. Head teachers are like Frank Sinatra. They prefer to do it their way. Not that there's ever a shortage of people telling them what their way should be. Ofsted, the DFE, parents, social media, even the odd year 9 has more than enough advice to say on the matter. Truth is, headship's hard, and there are no easy answers. It's probably easier to say what you shouldn't do rather than what you should. The world's full of people who are only too happy to point out your mistakes, faults, inconsistencies, incompetencies, and inefficiencies. There isn't a head or even a school leader who's alive today who hasn't been called all of those things. That's on a good day. On a bad one, the words tend to be, well, a little more colourful, shall we say, and invariably written in block capitals, followed by lots of exclamation marks. Then there's the professional advice you get from the experts, who aren't actually doing the job, and in many cases, never did the job. Some of them are inspectors. Some of them are consultants. Some of them are researchers. But all of them are full of helpful or unhelpful advice. But what about if you're sick of advice? What if you'd want rather less advice and rather more encouragement? What if you like to feel like you're doing a difficult job to the best of your ability and all you need is actually just a little bit more support instead of more advice? What if you don't particularly want to hear more advice about how somebody else is doing something brilliantly when in fact you're doing your very level best? So how about some advice on how not to be a head? A subject on which no doubt my colleagues would say I am particularly well qualified. The anti-guide to school leadership, if you like. So, joining me today is someone who's worked on the front line as a school leader for many years, more than he cares to remember. Neil Rawls. Neil, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Carl. Sorry to be rushing in there. Sorry, I missed your introduction. So this podcast is about how to be a successful head.
That's right. So what mistakes have you made this week then?
Well, I believe the word mistake derives from the Old Norse, mistaker, which means to take in error. This week I did accidentally take the last of the school's milk out of the staff room to furnish my private fridge. However, taking a broader view that the modern definition is an act or judgment that is misguided or wrong. And I can only say that I've made no mistakes at all. Because leaders don't make mistakes.
No.
I mean, sometimes those beneath me misinterpret my genius of strategy and fail in their delivery, leading to disaster.
Yeah.
Or facts of the calamitous consequences of my decisions may appear to be stacking up, but facts are, well, completely questionable after all.
That's right.
So really, despite how awful it might look on the surface, according to my facts, it's always been a triumph.
Of course.
My role model, of course, Carl, is, you may remember, Captain Redbeard Rum from the Blackadder series.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tom Baker played him.
him of the hands and the various other
Indeed
parts of the body.
Yes. So when he set off on the voyage with Blackadder, and Blackadder noted that there was no one else on the ship apart from himself and Percy.
Yeah.
He asked Captain Redbeard Rum, is it standard practice to not have a crew? And he said, well, opinion is divided. Everyone else says yes, but I say no. and that would be my first piece of advice then.
Yeah.
There are no mistakes.
No.
There is no fallibility. I like to call it doing a Macron.
Oh, yes, a bit topical there. A bit topical. Well, I'll leave views on the current political situation with our friends over the channel to the so-called experts of that one. But so no mistakes then this week, Neil.
Well, seriously, if I had to list my mistakes, this pod's only about 45 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that would get me to Wednesday morning. If I included all my domestic faux pas as well, I'd barely get out on Monday.
Yeah.
But in truth, my biggest mistake this week was not having a feasible prior engagement at 11 o'clock on Friday morning.
So you had to come here. Well, we're glad that you are. We certainly are. But okay, so let's think then, because we're all, we are genuinely sick of advice. Everybody has a view on how we should be doing what we do. And I'm sure it's all incredibly well-meaning, but it's not always incredibly welcome. So, I thought if I kick off with a bit of my thoughts on how we should go about not being a head teacher. I mean, one of the things I think that's really important, Neil, for me, is that you are as inauthentic as you possibly can be. So, what you should absolutely not be is a normal human being. Whatever that is when it's at home. But actually, incidentally, in the case of a head teacher, or in fact school leader, that's not very often, which is something else we get wrong when we go home. But nevertheless, authenticity is the road to ruin, surely. We don't want to bare our true selves, for heaven's sake. That would really be painful for everybody concerned. So far better to present yourself as a complete fraud. Preferably with no weaknesses, as you say. I think that's important that school leaders present themselves as being flawless. Because who wants a head or a school leader with weaknesses? I mean, you don't, do you? None of the ads, when we're applying for school leadership jobs, none of the ads say a range of strengths, including several major weaknesses, are preferred. Nobody wants that. Nobody says at open evening when they're presenting to parents, of course, all our staff are flawed. and in fact have many weaknesses. So pretend that we don't have any. That seems better advice to me. Fake it to make it, you might say. In actual fact, inauthenticity all the way. What do you reckon, Neil?
I think inauthenticity has got an awful lot to recommend it, because I think it can also create that sense of enigma.
I'm confused.
Well, I often think, one of the desirable qualities I like to see in a leader is when you go to meetings with heads, and you meet those heads who during the meeting have to be doing something else.
During the meeting,
scrolling through the phone. They've got a laptop. Because obviously, when they've got brains the size of a planet, and
you don't mention which planet we're talking about, but
and the solar system of ego, then clearly there can't possibly be enough going on in that room to keep their synapses entertained. So I really like that, because I think it also suggests you're suggesting immediately that you are somewhat of a maverick character who, the other human beings present can't possibly have anything of interest to say to you.
That's right.
And I think that's that sense of distance, that sense of autonomy of being, I think is absolutely vital. Obviously, you wouldn't do this if the meeting involved funding decisions and possible extra money that you might get, in which case probably total engagement would be a better way forward.
In fact, dominating the conversation would probably be good.
Yeah, so inauthentic, it could also, enigmatic leadership, I think, is the way forward.
Yeah. So keep them guessing is what you're saying as well, because you're not there in any real sense. And
well, if you start betraying normal human emotions like empathy and sympathy, that would suggest that you're around a human being, and therefore not fully focused on the job at hand.
No, because we don't want human beings to lead schools. For heaven's sake, that would be unreasonable. I think. For us to do, and I mean, absolutely, the number of meetings that we've all been in, particularly with heads, but also, dare I say it, some school leaders who don't deign to give the meeting their full attention, because there are so many more important things. They're there in the room. They've given you their presence. They've graced the room with their presence. So what more do you want than that? But actually, you've got all these far more important people to be communicating with, and frankly, the people that are sitting in front of you. Where do you stand on humour? If we're talking about inauthenticity, Neil, as a school leader, would you do humour? I mean, that shows a bit of humanity, and not a good thing, perhaps.
It depends whether the humour's at someone else's expense or not.
That's right.
I think if it can be used in a way that merely reinforces your position, then I think that's it's more than valid.
Yeah, getting a laugh at somebody else's expense, that's always a good one, isn't it? Yeah. It's guaranteed to get everybody on your side, make everybody feel like you're a generous and a decent human being, which, of course, you don't want to be. So, therefore, if you can make a quip at somebody else's expense, preferably picking on a weakness of theirs, preferably showing that they are trying to be authentic and failing at it, or no, they're being authentic and that's exposing the weaknesses they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think faux self-depreciation also has its place.
Okay.
Which is much like the interview question of, what's your greatest weakness?
Yeah. That's a much loved one.
Absolutely. I just can't leave work. I'm unable to stop. I'm a workaholic.
I'm a perfectionist.
That sort of thing. Yeah. So I think faux self-depreciation also has its place in the successful leaders.
Yeah, there's a whole science to that, isn't there? And you have to teach younger, aspirant members of the teaching and school profession generally, because these things can apply equally to support staff. I mean, it's not singularly the preserve of teachers, but I think, yeah, absolutely, you've got to teach people how to answer those questions with a bit of faux self-deprecation. The weakness actually being the strength. Yeah, are there any that spring to mind other than the obvious ones you've trotted out? I'm just trying to conjure from the past any ludicrous answers that have been given that answer that question.
I shall come back to that.
Yeah, I sorry, I caught you on the hop there, and that's a bit unfair, but there are many that I'm sure will spring to mind if we give it enough time. Yes, I'm too passionate about my job. It's another one I can think about, but similarly, yeah. So, okay, so I gave the first one then, inauthenticity. We've got 5 minutes before we go to the news and a word from our sponsors. So, do you want to toss in something, Neil, that you think we absolutely how to not be ahead?
Well, I think sowing disharmony amongst your staff, particularly your senior team, I think that's the way forward.
Okay.
Because you want to keep them on the toes.
Yes, that's
you
true.
want to keep people sharp. You want to make sure that they know where the real power lies. So you do really want to turn your your meeting room into a kind of a budget Mayor Lego, I think, and have it's something relationships looking like something out of Succession. I think that is definitely.
Other shows are available, by the way.
I think that is definitely the way forward as a school leader. I think that way, I think you ensure a maximum sort of mafioso type loyalty to the great Don.
Yeah,
or Don S.
Or Don S. Yes, indeed. So, so sowing disunity and disharmony amongst your team and, in fact, the wider school community.
Well, yes, I mean that's the idea. The idea is, you kick down, they kick the people down there even harder. The people below them hate the people just above them because they're the one they come in contact with. Hey presto, the Don S can then work their inauthentic charm
to resolve,
with impunity.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it reminds me of, and this is the second Blackadder reference, and probably therefore it should be the last, but who knows where it'll go. Where Baldrick complains about being mistreated, and our friend Blackadder tells him that this is how it works. The king kicks him, he kicks the cat bites Baldrick, and so is the natural order of things.
Yeah,
and it's important to reinforce the natural order of things as a school leader, and therefore, sign of success is when you're the people who are reporting to you are arguing amongst one another.
Yes. I think when they are bickering, trying to get one over on each other.
That always works.
Yeah. But always with that sort of those directed goals in mind, which is the protection of the head.
Of the head particularly. Now, I've quite self-consciously talked about school leaders, but of course that's what you're suggesting there is something that the head is uniquely well placed to be able to deliver. But it is still possible for school leaders, dare I say, at other levels, for example, vice principals and such like, to do these things.
I would like to think that any of the advice that comes out of this morning's show is transportable to many situations within the school community.
Yes. We wouldn't want to exclude anybody. That would be rude.
No.
Okay. Well, I hope our listeners are already really understanding how to take that leadership forward as we move into the 2025. So I think at this point, what we should do is take some word from our sponsors. who will I don't doubt have some really good stuff to tell us about, and then also the latest education news. So hope you can join us in a minute when we'll resume How Not to Be Ahead.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Parentkind are a national charity representing parent views and voice and championing parental participation in education and school life. By fostering strong school-parent partnerships, we can boost student attendance, improve behaviour and enhance academic performance. When parents actively participate, students thrive. Join the movement that's reshaping education for the better. Visit parentkind.org to learn more about reaping the rewards of working in partnership with parents.
Are you ready to enhance your assessments in a world where AI is transforming education? Join Toddle for an exclusive event, Designing Assessments with AI, a live session tailored just for UK educators. Explore practical strategies to keep your assessments both effective and fair as AI continues to reshape education. Hear from experts Darren Coxon and Dale Bassett, who'll guide you through designing authentic assessments and navigating AI's biggest challenges. It's happening on December the 2nd from 4 to 6:30 p.m. Don't miss out on this opportunity to discover how you can adapt your assessment strategies for the future of education. Register for free at toddleapp.com/UKAI and secure your spot now.
Hey educators, ready to kickstart 2025 with world-class inspiration? Then don't miss Bet UK, happening January 22nd to 24th in London. Get fired up in our high-energy arena hosted by Laura McInerney with an incredible lineup. Hear from racing driver and inclusion advocate Nicholas Hamilton and the poetic power duo Michael Rosen and Christian Foley. Plus, don't miss the legendary Stephen Fry discuss the human approach to AI. Explore hundreds of hours of unmissable content, the latest edtech, and free CPD opportunities to supercharge your skills. All for free, so why wait? Head to betshow.com and book your ticket now. Let's make 2025 your best year yet.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
Schools Week features a report on the disadvantage gap in EYFS. According to new data, the gap is widening between the proportion of pupils eligible for means-tested free school meals achieving a good level of development when compared to their non-disadvantaged peers. The gap grew from 19.9% in 2022 to 23 to 20.5% last year. This reversed the progress logged last year according to Department for Education data published recently, although the data set only goes back to 2021 to 22 after changes were made to EYFS. The persistence of disadvantage gaps has become a source of consternation across the education sector. The EYFS data shows the gap is opening up even amongst the youngest school pupils. Girls continue to outperform boys, with this gap widening for the second year running, but the difference between autumn and summer-born children narrowed in the same time frame. Full analysis of the data and further information about the disadvantage gap at post-16 A-level can be found on the Schools Week website. The BBC covers reports that Australia will ban children aged under 16 from using social media after its Senate approved the world's strictest bans. The ban, which will not take effect for at least 12 months, could see tech companies fined the equivalent of £25.7 million if they don't comply. The Australian Prime Minister says the legislation is needed to protect young people from the harms of social media, something echoed by parents' groups. Critics, however, say questions over how the ban will work and the impact it may have on privacy and social connection have been unanswered. The Australian ban sets the highest age limit by any country and does not include exemptions for existing users or those with parental consent. The vote passed by 34 votes to 19, and full details can be found on the BBC News website. In a linked story, The Independent reports that just 18% of teachers think a phone ban would improve pupil behaviour, according to a recent poll. More than 2 in 5 teachers agree that mobile phones can be a teaching tool within schools. The survey of 1001 UK teachers also suggested that only 20% feel unauthorised mobile phone use disrupts their classroom frequently, whilst the most disruptive behaviours were listed as student chatter, fidgeting and disrespect to other students. The YouGov poll also asked for teachers' top measure for improving behaviour, with a majority suggesting reducing class sizes and increasing support for pupils with behavioural challenges. Further details on this aspect of the issue of mobile technology can be found on the newspaper's website. Schools Week also reports on an aspect of the recruitment issue. A report on head teacher recruitment says schools in the Northwest are the most likely to be isolated and shut out from attracting the best head teachers. The Education Policy Institute found current and future head teachers tended to work only in connected communities and were unlikely to move for work outside of those areas. This creates isolated schools left without the best head teachers. The Northwest have the largest portion of isolated primary schools, whilst isolated secondary schools were concentrated in the West Midlands, east of England and the South East. London attracts more than half of the most effective primary school heads. The North East is also revealed as disproportionately successful in developing and attracting highly effective head teachers, despite having a smaller share of the overall teacher workforce. It attracts the highest proportion of the most effective secondary heads at 23% and also trains a fifth of them. The EPI ranked head teachers on whether they improved their school's test or exam results and then checked how schools with leaders at different points in the ranking fared in terms of other metrics such as pupil progress, teacher retention and school attendance. A research of the EPI said the research showed government needs to encourage more localised movement across schools, and Academy Trust should consider how they grow and deploy leaders in order to spread best practice. Finally, the BBC features a report on a 49-year-old exercise book. The book, discovered in a drawer of a school desk in Cornwall, has been returned to its former owner after it was discovered over half-term. The front cover of the book was shared on social media, and the owner was invited back to the school to be reunited with his property. The book was labelled Roman Studies and contained detailed sketches of an amphitheatre, Roman bathing systems, and several cities. The presentation of the book was exceptional, and the teacher who discovered it felt it deserved to be returned. When the owner was asked what he might do with the book, he replied, "I was thinking of putting it in a drawer." This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
Thank you. I think we can return now to our podcast, our radio show this morning, the morning break, on how not to be ahead. And we've heard some really sage advice from our guest this morning, Neil Rawls. He's full of good advice on this topic. So he clearly has had a lot of experience in this field. But I think it's my turn, Neil, if I'm correct. So I'm going to suggest that one good way to not be ahead is surround yourself with sycophants. You want lots of people around you who will just tell you exactly what you want to hear and not argue, because you don't need that. You don't come to work for people to actually disagree with you. That's unhelpful, and no good is going to come of having people around you that disagree with you all the time. Far better to get a lot of flattery every day, because we all like a bit of flattery. Let's be honest, it's good for the soul. So let's encourage it. Let's big ourselves up as much as possible. Lap up the applause is what I say. So you go home every day with a spring in your step. You've had nobody suggest that there may have been something that you thought or did that they don't agree with. No, you don't want that. You want a bit of bowing and scraping, because that's going to put a smile on your face, get you through the day. So my motto on that one is don't say it to my face. That's my way of thinking about it. What do you think, Neil?
Yes, I mean, I think anything that encourages discussion may encourage dissent. Now that can't be tolerated, can it?
No, it can't.
So surely, the best school leaders are ones that make decisive decisions.
Yes.
And the way I would see it is it works on a kind of incremental scale. The less you actually know about the problem you're dealing with, the more decisive the great school leader is in coming up with a solution.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Obviously, in that context, the last thing you would need is anybody to contradict, because suddenly that charismatic leadership would be under threat, and that can't be allowed.
No.
I mean, the way I see it is, detail is for the little people with their technical expertise. We all know experts are no longer in vogue. And long may it be so, because
and that's worked very well in the last few years, hasn't it?
Absolutely, because let's face it, it's those people who have to implement things.
Yeah,
they're the blockers to progress. They're the people that are stopping every child thriving. And
I do beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Carry on, Neil.
So So I think that the key advice here is be decisive at all times. You can't be decisive if you don't have a sycophantic culture surrounding you.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Hopefully the phone call that just inadvertently interrupted my host of today's show was in fact to tell me how much they love the show. They were ringing to tell us that we are in fact tremendous at this and should continue.
Really?
For as long as possible.
I thought they might be offering me a job.
Well, there might be that as well. But yeah, so absolutely. I love the a scale, which I think is so true. The less you know about something, the more you want to discourage anybody else advising you and just be decisive. Because knowledge is going to get in the way, and it's going to confuse, and far better that you don't give proper consideration to those things and instead just jump straight in with both feet. And that's going to happen a lot if you have the required number of sycophants around you. And I just interested. Any thoughts on how you discourage dissension? I mean, what do you do to make sure that people don't ever disagree or criticise in a constructive way, of course?
I think non-disclosure agreements have a lot to recommend them.
The odd NDA does no harm at all.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. Yes. Just belittle people, make them feel like their opinions aren't welcome. That their so-called expertise is not expertise. There's a reason why they're not in the position you're in, and it's important that they understand that. And then simply follow your lead, and then the good things will follow. Good things will happen. So absolutely, couldn't agree more. So Neil, it's your turn.
Right. I think remaining aloof and distant. I think we've touched on this, but I'd like to go at it from a slightly different angle. But I'm going to ask your thoughts first, Carl. Should the head ever leave their office and venture out into the rest of the school?
Good grief, no. I think it has all sorts of potential for danger. Because the moment that you come into contact with young people, never mind staff and teachers, you're leaving yourself wide open to the possibility that you aren't the great person that you would otherwise think yourself to be. And absolutely, you can't do that. You can't take that risk. You have to stay in control. And the best way to stay into control is to not actually meet anybody who could potentially derail your sense of greatness. That's my thought on it.
Okay, yeah. Now I was just going to take that a little further with a very practical suggestion for everybody.
Yeah, please do.
Names.
What about them?
Don't learn them. Don't bother.
Yeah.
I think if you refer to
anybody's name.
No. So with the staff and students, I think it just suggests that you're a personable person and not a serious person.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
So my personal take on this is with the students, you need a cure-all.
Yeah.
I find, or I used to find, or you, that worked quite nicely, but obviously we have moved on in the pronouns world, so now we'll use oi they.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And that tends to always get a reaction. And similarly, students, after 5 or 7 years, they've gone, haven't they? But you're going to forget the names then. So why bother learning them in the first place?
Absolutely, yes. It's a waste of everybody's time, really.
Likewise with staff. That would suggest, by knowing their names, that you value them as an individual or a human being. I mean, they get paid, don't they, for turning up?
They do, yes.
Then they're employed to nurture and educate young people, for goodness sake. Isn't that enough?
Well, it should be.
Yeah. So I think aloofness is very important. Can I take it one stage further, or am I overstepping the mark?
It would be rude not to, Neil.
Because it is connected.
Yes.
Don't teach.
No.
Don't do it.
No. Don't do the thing you're asking everybody else to do.
No, because I think anything that exposes you to having to implement the ideas that the senior leadership team came up with on their strategy and implementation day, I think no good will come of it.
No.
So under no circumstances have a timetable.
No. Yes, the less teaching you do, the better. Because you may be a head teacher, you call yourself a head teacher, but for heaven's sake, you shouldn't be actually teaching. The further away from the classroom you are, the better. Would you say generally?
Yes, I mean, I think both metaphorically and physically. Yeah, I think if you can organise your office to be,
at home,
barely part of the school building.
Yeah,
then I think it can only make it for a happier life.
Yeah, so preferably locate yourself outside of the school building, if and when you can. So you are literally not present, and that way you wouldn't be tempted or inadvertently find yourself in a classroom mistakenly with students or staff, which would be unfortunate, I think.
No, I think the ideal leadership is at some meeting or conference. And dealt with via mobile phone and email.
Although, of course, if you were at the meeting or conference, you would be communicating with other people than those that are at the conference.
Yeah.
For the reasons that we already said.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. So you're actually not communicating with anybody.
Yeah.
Principally about anything that matters.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. Seems like a good way forward. And of course, I'm sure our listeners could think of many people that they have known in their career who were really skilled at this, really inspirational characters.
There are some excellent practitioners out there
who
are role models for us all.
I think so. We need to hear more from them. Okay, so right. I mean, I'm going to go down a different track, if I may, Neil, and that is by playing the adverts, because we just need another word from our sponsors.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Parentkind are a national charity representing parent views and voice and championing parental participation in education and school life. By fostering strong school-parent partnerships, we can boost student attendance, improve behaviour and enhance academic performance. When parents actively participate, students thrive. Join the movement that's reshaping education for the better. Visit parentkind.org to learn more about reaping the rewards of working in partnership with parents.
Are you ready to enhance your assessments in a world where AI is transforming education? Join Toddle for an exclusive event, Designing Assessments with AI, a live session tailored just for UK educators. Explore practical strategies to keep your assessments both effective and fair as AI continues to reshape education. Hear from experts Darren Coxon and Dale Bassett, who'll guide you through designing authentic assessments and navigating AI's biggest challenges. It's happening on December the 2nd from 4 to 6:30 p.m. Don't miss out on this opportunity to discover how you can adapt your assessment strategies for the future of education. Register for free at toddleapp.com/UKAI and secure your spot now.
Hey educators, ready to kickstart 2025 with world-class inspiration? Then don't miss Bet UK, happening January 22nd to 24th in London. Get fired up in our high-energy arena hosted by Laura McInerney with an incredible lineup. Hear from racing driver and inclusion advocate Nicholas Hamilton and the poetic power duo Michael Rosen and Christian Foley. Plus, don't miss the legendary Stephen Fry discuss the human approach to AI. Explore hundreds of hours of unmissable content, the latest edtech, and free CPD opportunities to supercharge your skills. All for free, so why wait? Head to betshow.com and book your ticket now. Let's make 2025 your best year yet.
Right, well, thank you for those good words from our sponsors. So we're back to How Not to Be Ahead with my guest, Neil Rawes, experienced school leader and expert in the field of how not to be a school leader. Neil, I think am I right in saying I'm losing track here, but I think it's me again. So I'm going to go down a different track here. I think we missed a trick here, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I think we need to go for a bit more people pleasing. I think we need to be looking to please everybody all the time around us, regardless of whether actually what we're doing is right or matters. And I think we need to go for the superficial. I think that always is a winner. It's always very popular with staff. Go for the superficial. Prioritise appearances over substance every time. In my book, it's what it looks like. It's what it could potentially do for your career. It's what it sounds like to people who have the potential to actually, possibly hurt you. They're the people that matter, So the powerful people, it's got to look good to them. Now, the other people, the wrong people, as it were, the people who haven't got much power to influence your career or possibly undermine you. Well, it's not so important that you that you flatter them, but I think you need to make sure that you focus your attentions on the way that things look, rather than actually whether they have any real substance to them and make a difference. I think we've had a lot of good examples of things that look good in education, and I think we should take inspiration from those things. Figure out who to impress and then go dazzle them is my advice. Any thoughts on that, Neil?
superficial attempts to
just
and
go for the superficial, impress everybody.
Yeah.
As long as it looks good, as long as it sounds
Yeah.
good, doesn't matter if it's really any good at all.
No, croissants, Carl. Croissants.
Can you explain?
Staff well-being.
Oh yes, yes.
So
they're good.
You know,
I like that.
Yes, I mean my approach would be triple marking policy. Ensure that all lesson plans are done at least 24 hours in advance and submitted to heads of department.
Yeah,
because how on earth are you going to keep quality?
Well, absolutely. You have to keep on top of these things. Okay. You do.
With regular surveys of the student body as to rating their teacher.
Yes, a mark out of 10.
Yeah, well, I think it's only fair that we are paying them with taxpayers' money.
They are taxpayers'
so they should
money.
be accountable to the consumer.
I think so.
However, we have a well-being policy.
Yes,
croissants.
Yes,
they get a croissant on a Friday.
I think that's fair enough.
Okay,
a whole croissant or just a half of one?
Well, no, they get a whole croissant.
Okay.
We're generous. It can be collected before 7 a.m.
Yes, to show we care.
Absolutely, to ensure that everybody's there and fed and ready for that final push of the week.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Did you enjoy your croissant this morning?
Yes. I thought it was delicious. It was, yeah.
And do you feel well now as a result of being in the moment of that croissant?
I think I had a temporary sugar rush and I'm now feeling consequences.
Good. Yes. I mean, I'm all for the superficial, the pointless and the there for just show. I think it goes down very well with parents. It goes I think it goes particularly well with Ofsted inspectors. Students less so. Young people not quite so easily bought into that, but then they don't really have the same influence and power that those other stakeholders might do. So possibly for the school leader lower down in the order of importance. I mean, where do you stand on driving into the car park with a flashy car? Is that a good thing? Would you say is that good for staff morale?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it indicates, if you follow my lead, if you look and learn, you too one day can have this.
Yeah,
you can trade in your golf, and this this Porsche could be yours.
Absolutely, yeah. I think so. Yes, I think you need to show you're a school leader. You need to show the world your success, and not. This sort of self-deprecation and playing things down. It's not good, is it?
No, and I think there's for too long, because it's in the public sector, people are just they don't like to talk about things like money and aspiration. But I think you should leave it all out there and to show them who you are. You're different.
The Gordon Gekko was it?
Yeah, yes, I believe so.
Gekko,
Greed is good.
Absolutely, yes. The bigger the salary, the bigger the talent.
Yeah. Well, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So tell everybody about your salary. That's always a good thing. So Neil, I think it's you.
Well, I just want to pick your brains on something.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
The hero head.
Yeah.
Because I think they're the people that are often really admired.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, you mean you are the hero of your own story, and you want to make sure everybody knows about it. That you have saved the school, that you have saved the staff, and the staff are. Well, they should be grateful to you. I think is the first thing, and parents as well should be enormously grateful to you for the wonderful work you've done, and that you and you alone have made that difference.
Yeah.
And without you, things would have fallen apart long since, and will do when you leave. I think that's important to stress. And those people that came before you, they really weren't very good, but you actually are. And thank goodness that you are now here, the hero, and you are able to provide all the answers that's needed. I would say that was a very good approach. I think yeah, I think it's harder if you're a school leader but on senior team, because you can't have two heroes of the story, can you? Or can you have two heroes? Do you think, or three?
I think as long as it's accepted who the main hero is.
Right.
I mean, Batman never seemed too resentful of Robin.
No, possibly not.
Because Robin knew his place.
He did, yes, and but hero sidekicks are not in themselves a bad thing.
Even the Penguin and the Riddler, they accepted the Joker, didn't they?
That's right.
So
they certainly did.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's all gone a bit dark on the Batman front, though, hasn't it?
Yeah. So we wouldn't want to be talking about senior leadership and Jokers, would we?
No, because that really wouldn't be right at all. Absolutely not. But no, I am a fan of the hero head and the hero version of leadership. I mean, it leads into the next one, which it's important that you let everybody know how hard you work and signal that in every way possible. So, and actually genuinely work harder than anybody else. I think that's quite important. So if you see somebody on the staff who is apparently there and is still in the school, and you have, in fact, had a thought that you might leave, make sure you don't. Make sure that you outdo them.
Mm-hmm.
So, they stay till 6, you stay till 6:30. They stay till 7, 7:30 for you, and so on and so forth. Or you could do it the other way around and be there at the start of the morning, 5 o'clock. You're ringing up the premises officer. Where are you? I want to get in. I've got work to do. Don't you realise I'm the head?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be good. I would say work yourself into the ground, because you need to as a head or a school leader. And anyway, I think it gives your partner and your family some independence, so they can explore their own selves without unencumbered by your interference. And I think people generally react very well to somebody who is a workaholic and has nothing else in their life that may divert them away from the main thing. You don't want to be talking to people in school who have other things to say than things about education. It's a distraction. And an unhelpful one, don't you think?
I also believe that socially it makes you very popular with the wider public when you go and meet them on those social occasions, if you can give them real insight into the world of education.
That's all you ever talk about, in fact. I think so. I think it endears you to family and friends. I think you are likely to be popular on social occasions. You are going to be valued for your wit and your sense of perspective, absolutely. I'm a big fan of being utterly and totally obsessed with one thing at the expense of all other things, and expecting everybody else to be the same.
Yes, I think one of my great concerns is about technology.
Yeah,
I think technology is starting to undermine us.
In what sense?
Well, there's nothing I used to like more than, obviously working through the night and sending that 3 a.m. email.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Because when I picked that up, people knew I was at it.
Yeah, it was still working hard
and demanding a response by start a play the next day.
Yeah,
I thought that. But now anyone can put delay send on.
I know.
Everyone's doing it.
I know.
Everyone's sending emails at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Absolutely.
So you don't know who's doing it and who's sort of tucked up in the duvet.
It doesn't mean the same as it used to, does it?
Well,
no.
Many things don't. Don't.
Nostalgia isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right there. I think it is a good thing if you can tell people, particularly in the time when they're not at school, that they should still be focused on their work. So it's always good if you can send emails. I think the sweet spot, to be fair, I mean 3 a.m. is a good one, but the sweet spot for me is probably between about 6 and 7 on a Sunday evening. If you can time it so you can send an email then, preferably quite a negative one, because I think you've got to get people ready for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can, you can give them. Sorry, if you can give them some, suitable things to be pondering overnight between Sunday and Monday. I think that's almost certainly going to endear you to your staff and your senior team colleagues as a school leader.
Well, I think if people are not walking over the threshold on a Monday morning without a sense of basic anxiety, you're not doing your job properly.
No. I mean, if you're actually thinking that Monday might be a pleasant experience, then I think something's wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you need to have that anxiety induced approach to work if you're going to get the best out of yourself and others. And I couldn't agree more, Neil. The trouble is, a lot of people do this already, don't they? It's actually quite popular to not only work yourself into the ground, but also to tell everybody else that you work yourself into the ground. I meet a lot of people who are like that.
Yes. Well, I think it is a legacy of our sort of culture and society, and great. It's what made Britain great.
Sorry, can you run that past me again?
Yeah, that Protestant work ethic, that belief that you should be, sacrificing yourself.
Yeah.
For your 3 school years and 10. And,
we should be lucky to get to be fair, if you did do...
Okay, well, I've got 3 school years and 10 before you can get your pension.
Mm.
Then
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely. Then one should count oneself grateful to have served.
I think so. I think we should be more grateful for the privileged position that we've been given, and therefore spend the maximum amount of time on it that we possibly can. This is going back to the adverts thing, it doesn't say in the advert, and you know when to stop working and know when to do some other things with your life. And it doesn't say you have a right to other things in your life, that you have a right to have a family or a family life, or that you have a right to just do some things that you actually find fun. It doesn't say that in the advert. It doesn't say it in the job specification, and I think we should be mindful of that. I really do. So anything else, Neil? We're coming towards the end. Sadly, we are running out of time here. So just a few little gems here of advice that you could give people.
Oh, the last one would be don't hang around too long. No. I mean, your great school leaders, they get in, they make an impact, they get out again, next ladder up, before the impact of those decisions are truly felt.
Yes, you don't want to hang around long enough to see the negatives, do you? Because that's not necessarily helpful to your career. Yeah, what would you say? 2 or 3 years, possibly, or I mean,
yeah, I think so. I think yeah.
Because if you think year 1 is telling everybody that everything's awful and you're going to fix it, year 2 is actually doing something potentially to fix or otherwise do something anyway to impress everybody that you've done it. Really, is what we're saying. Year 3 is to look for the job ads, find those opportunities to move on by telling everybody you've done all these wonderful things and therefore fixed it.
Yeah.
But actually, it's important that you do get out before, as you say, the time has been reached when there will be people. There always are people who then might point out that what you said was the answer to everything actually isn't. And you don't need it. You don't need that.
No. Loyalty is transactional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loyalty is for fools.
It is. Loyalty is for fools. Yeah. You don't want to dedicate yourself to a job for too long. And so many of our esteemed secretaries of state of education have been very good practitioners of that advice.
Indeed.
They have realised that there is no value in being in the job too long, and that it's important that you move on to something else, preferably as quickly as possible. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, Neil. I have to say, I really enjoyed listening to your advice, and I do think possibly we need to do this again, because I don't know about you. I've only kind of just really scratched the surface of this whole topic. I think it would be worth exploring again, and in fact with others. I think out there our listeners are probably going to be really interested in this topic, and texted in with thoughts on how not to be a school leader, how not to be ahead. And I found it very enlightening indeed.
Well, I would like to thank Carl. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I would like to think if any of my words have resonated, and if any way people could take this advice forward to improve their own leadership, then that is my Christmas present to the profession.
Yes, I think that's a lovely note on which to finish, Neil. And I think our listeners will be truly grateful. I'm very humbled to have been part of this podcast, and I do wish everybody here a lovely run-up in the last couple of weeks of term, which is always a joy before we get to the Christmas break. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.